Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome in first intermission edition of Guerilla Sports Off Ice. I'm Jesse Montano. That's Meghan Angley. Avs Jets 20 minutes in. Not the start they wanted, Megan, but I told you, I said I'm going to stop just shy of saying settled in, but I thought they calmed things down a little bit. We're going to get into all of it. Winnipeg Jets score on their first shot of the period. Megan, overall, as always, we'll start with just broad strokes, thoughts on that first for the Avs.
On the first goal against or the first period on the
yeah.
whole, I think I share in your assessment that they settled in, and I'd actually take it even a step further. It felt like they recognized in allowing a goal in the first minute and change, they needed to play very responsibly and make this a safe game, not only for Georgiev, but for themselves. And so that shots battle early on was tilted in Winnipeg's favor, but they did some good things in the early minutes to ensure that Winnipeg didn't get more dangerous as the period went on. And so after that Kyle Connor attempt shortly after the Vilardi goal, Georgiev made the stop there. It seemed like things did start to settle in for them. And what I liked is once they sort of secured the scene in a way, they started to create a little bit. And then after that is when you see the McKinnon high danger chance, the backhand at the net front that almost leads to a second opportunity for Lehkonen. And so they started to create some chances, but they ensured that they made it a safe game first before then. And that's what I liked. It felt like a responsible and gradual way for them to get into this game. And it put them in a position, even though they end on a PK, to just continue building upon that in the second. You know, with that first goal going in so early, this could have gone a very different direction. This could have been yet another multi-goal period from the Avs. And I think the learning lessons of past mistakes were at play here in wanting to make sure that they lock things down a bit more defensively, just to make sure this didn't end up being a game they couldn't come back from after the 20 minutes.
I want to talk about Georgiev because, you just mentioned him there and making it a safe game. I want to get to that. You mentioned the high danger chance for Nathan McKinnon. Again, offensively, getting through Connor Hellebuyck is going to be the challenge here. I thought the Avs did a good job of getting to the front of the net. That was how they were successful against the Jets in the playoffs. There was a lot of goals that were scored just from bad, dirty areas. Not bad areas, but areas that if you're the defending team, you don't want opposing players. And I thought they started doing that a little bit there later into the period. But yes, let's circle back. Alexander Georgiev. It's a 2-on-1. I don't love the way that Sam Girard plays the 2-on-1. So it's hard to blame him for that. But I made the comment to you. I said, he is unfortunately at the phase here where I got a text right away. They got to pull him. Georgiev's got to come up with a save. I thought he recovered, looked sharp. I thought he was finding the puck well. Curious to see what he does here going forward. What do you think of Georgie there in the first period?
I look at the first goal against, and I have sympathy for him. It starts with Winnipeg's trying to break out the puck, and Manson even has a chance at the blue line to settle it. It just takes a funky bounce off his stick onto Scheifele's. They charge ahead then on an odd man rush. Girard obviously trying to tie up that lane from Scheifele to Vilardi, just a really difficult task. So you see then Georgiev's body language is initially at the top right of the crease in anticipation of Scheifele. He has to quickly push then in anticipation of Vilardi, and it's just not enough. And I'm sympathetic because I saw the effort positionally, him trying to anticipate both of his threats in that situation. In that push then to the left, his glove is out, but he is falling onto his stomach because it was just too hard, which left this open at behind him for Vilardi to lift the puck into pretty easily. And what I like is shortly after that, Kyle Connor, in my opinion, kind of like cherry picking, has this breakaway opportunity. Georgiev stops that chance. And that's what I think he needs to do. I would have obviously loved that save early in this game, but I think making that save then on the Connor breakaway chance shortly after is sort of how you see, okay, he's in this game. I'm not going to write him off. And then I like the way they close out the rest of this period.
Yep.
He's absorbing pucks in his pads. I want to see him more cleanly glove some of these pucks down, but I like that he is still coming up with some of these blocks and keeping them in this game only a goal's difference.
So the shot that made me comment to you before we came on air saying he looked sharp was exactly that. It was a puck that he swallowed up, no
Morrissey.
rebounds, gets out on top of the paint, makes himself big on Morrissey. And it's just, that's the kind of stuff that, look, people aren't saying he's got to be, well, there might be some people saying that he's got to be perfect. We are not saying he has to be perfect in this game, but you want to just see him looking more confident. That's what we're looking at with Justus Annunen right now. Has Justus Annunen been perfect? No. Is his save percentage actually trending in the wrong direction right now? Yes, but he looks confident. He looks sharp. He's finding pucks. He doesn't look like he's being discouraged when pucks beat him. That is what I felt we have seen out of Alexander Georgiev to this point. Looks like he's bounced back decently in this first period. He's got to keep it going here. You mentioned that you like the way they finished. I'm with you. I thought they really recovered well given the circumstances. More penalty trouble here. It's actually decent kill. Still a few seconds left. Your thoughts on special teams? You were talking to Jared about that last week.
Yeah, well, I like how the kill looked so far. It looks like some of it's going to bleed over a little bit. Always a little less threatening when it starts the period in that way. It just kind of disrupts their flow in terms of the man advantage. So I think the Avs have an opportunity to kill this one relatively easily. But what I liked is they got big blocks, not only from Georgiev on that final PK, but also Sam Girard, who, we didn't love the way that maybe he defended on that first goal against, but he did redeem himself, especially late on that PK, coming up with big blocks.
Special teams have... They always are, but I feel like in particular in the early part of this season have really kind of told the story of how the Avs have gotten here. Looked like maybe a missed high stick on Logan O'Connor there near the end of the period. Question here, going back to Georgiev, if Georgie closes this out the same way the rest of the game, will he be the number one? Look, I actually told someone today when they asked me, why are they playing Georgiev? Why aren't they going back to Annunen? And I told him, Megan, I said, look, I'm just being honest here. The Avs are looking to cut this down to 2. They have to. Right now, this feels so dramatic to say. Alexander Georgiev's playing for his job. Again, Capo Kakinen's only played once. It was a so-so game. We're not sure what we'll see with him. But, the Avs not only need to shave a goaltender, they also need to shave some salary later in this season.
Yeah.
Hypothetically thinking, if you get rid of Georgiev, even if Gabe Landeskog comes back, your money problems are gone. Alexander Georgiev's playing for his job here. As good as he looked at the back half of that first period, even if he carries that on, tonight is not going to be enough for him to run away with a starting job here.
No, but it is an important game for him to stay in the race because his confidence has been the issue through this point. He has to, at the very least, close out this game in an impressive way, too. As long as he continues to be reliable, right? If the team also locks it down defensively, maybe he's not even tasked with coming up with big saves, but if he is, he needs to be ready for it. That's the bare minimum, not just for the starter's job, but for his confidence to ensure that the next game that he gets after this, he can build upon this performance. He'll write himself out of the competition if he can't lock down this game, because to your point, we're 8 days removed from Nichushkin coming back into the lineup, and Drouin and Wood are also right behind him. They can't carry 3 for very long. So they're going to have to expedite making this decision, which is going to make a hyper focus then on the performances of every goaltender here on out, including Georgiev tonight.
Again, Jared Bednar said it the other day. I'm sympathetic for them. The fact that we're in this situation with 3 goaltenders, where, they're having to get extra work in at practice, they're sharing the net. It's not a natural rotation. But Jared said pretty bluntly, we are in this situation because of the play of the goaltenders in the early going. I'm with you with what you just said there. To me, look, he doesn't have to shut him out the rest of the way, but we got to see more of what we have seen so far tonight for him to stay in this competition. We talked in the early days about Justus Annunen has to make use of any minute that he gets. He's doing that right now. Right now, it is Alexander Georgiev's time to do the same thing. What are you looking for from the Avs as we move into this second period here? Look, a good Winnipeg Jets team. Connor Hellebuck in net. You're in a tough building to play in. I thought, especially given the way it started, about as good of a first period as you could probably ask for. What do you want to see from them in the second?
I want them to not abandon what they built upon in the first period that was responsible and good, but they do need to get more dangerous because they are playing opposite Hellebuck, who appears to be having a great game just early into this one. He's seeing pucks well, so it's not going to be easy. They're not going to get their chances very easily, so they're going to need to take them where they can get them. Doesn't have to be pretty, but I need to see them get a little bit more dangerous, again, without abandoning the responsible tasks that are left for them in their own end.
Just one high danger chance for the Avs in that first period. Meghan only gave up 3 when you consider that there was a breakaway in there, as well as the 2-on-1 to start the game. Again, you like the way that they kind of tightened things down. I'm with you. You want to see him get a little bit more dangerous. You want to see him going to the front of the net more. Nathan MacKinnon, the best chance the Avs had at that period, where does it come from? Right in front of the net. Kind of a bit of a scramble. He gets Connor Hellebuck down, trying to chip it over me. It's the post. You have a guy like Lehkonen back. This is where you want to see Mikko Rantanen lean on the sides a little bit, get guys to the front of the net. And I'm with you. I think they're gonna generate, but you got to penetrate the interior of the ice here, and you got to get bodies in front of Hellebuck.
Absolutely, because that second opportunity off the MacKinnon chance is born from Rantanen recovering that puck and getting it to Lehkonen. It's just stopped by a great goaltender and a great block following that. So they're going to have to keep applying that pressure. I love, too, with the depth scoring that they got last game, seeing Prishapov with an opportunity later in that game. It goes right on target into a very good goaltender's pad. So I think they just have to create opportunities like that more in volume, though, because one of those will go in. They'll get rewarded for that kind of process.
Greg Cronin told us when Anaheim was in town a couple weeks ago, and it was something JJ and I turned around, we were like, dang, I love that. He said, we are trying to teach our guys that stop trying to look for the perfect shot, because you'll be surprised how many times one shot turns into 2 shots, which turns into 3 shots if you just put the puck to the net and then follow it there. And I thought that was the best way to put it. Anyone who stood out for you from the Avs in that first period, positively or negatively? Like I said, Logan O'Connor caught a high stick. I don't think that's anything that we have to worry about him leaving. But just anybody that stood out to you positively, negatively, or just want to see more from everybody.
The Nathan MacKinnon line, not just isolated to that one chance. It did feel like that is the line that had some of the most ozone opportunity. And I think that they're going to have to lean heavily on their stars because they are playing opposite such a great goaltender. That skill that the top line provides, I think, is going to be really necessary tonight. So I'm looking at Nathan MacKinnon and company to lead the charge on this one.
On that line, if you count it as a unit of 5, Cale Makar is skating there tonight. I guess we hadn't mentioned that yet. Cale Makar did draw it back into the lineup tonight. He was the only injured player that went on the trip, Meghan, skated this morning. Jared Bednar described him as a game-time decision. He drew in. Did you have any? He drew into the lineup, not drew in. He looked fine to me. I didn't necessarily notice him overly ridiculous one way or the other.
No, same here. Just a welcome relief to see a body stay in the lineup and not yet another one come out. This is already a pretty shorthanded team, and we've seen this story before. A shorthanded Avs team goes into Winnipeg and gets the doors blown off. So that's another reason maybe why after 20 we're feeling pretty good about where this is.
Well, and again, my thing with it isn't even just like how we feel at the end of 20. It's how I feel about the way that they played, given the way it started. I made the comment to you, but before I said I'm going to stop just shy of saying they settled in, but they didn't just start gushing blood all over the ice. Like they gave up a goal early. Georgiev's in net. Like there was to your point, we've seen this play out before. There was a very easy path there for them to just crumble on themselves and come out of this period 3 or 4-0. They didn't do that. You were right in what you said a minute ago. Statistically, when you open a period with a power play, you have a much, much lower chance of converting on that power play. So it seems as though they survived. You got to get through the last few seconds here. But again, it's not even like, oh, feeling good. They're only down 1-0. It's feeling good about the way they responded to a bad start.
Absolutely.
Last thing here, and then we'll go cut back to the game here, and then we'll see you guys at the second intermission. But again, back to the goaltenders, just your thoughts on this, because I think I tend to agree. Have a feeling that if you put CMAC on truth serum, that their preference would be for Annunen to grab the starter's job and run with it. This is a goalie they drafted, they've developed. He's on a cheap deal this year and next. I think they would love nothing more than that for an internal option to take the starter's job and give them a little bit of buffer until Nabokov gets over here.
I think the cap component absolutely matters there. And the other part of it too is they need a goaltender to run away with this job. Right now, with Georgiev and Annunen kind of, I mean, like if Georgiev finishes out this game kind of how he finished out that first period, then he's pretty on track with what Annunen does. He hasn't racked up the same number of wins, but you're not looking at one or the other. You might feel a little more comfortable with Annunen because of those wins, but he hasn't still separated enough. I think that's what the front office wants more than anything, is that separation. I think they'd love to see it be Annunen, but I also think they value a little bit of the experience that Georgiev has. So if he was the one to run away with this, I think they would take it at face value and let Georgiev resume as the starter. I'm rooting for Annunen just because it does feel like trust has been built just in getting those wins. It was at a time when the team really needed them too. But for the cap implication reasons too, I think there is incentive for them to want it to be Annunen.
And again, the last time they drafted and developed a goaltender into at least a semblance of a starter was David Abisher back in the early 2000s. Getting ready to drop the puck on the second period, so we are out of here. We will be right back here at the second intermission. Avs down 1-0. Heading into the second, we'll see what they got here, and we'll be back to talk about it in 20 minutes. See you later, folks.